know, my
Excellent
favorite part.
collection,
I was
yeah?
going to say my favorite part is when you say, and I think we're live.
And I think,
I don't even remember the intro, but you always say, I think we're live.
Well, I think we're live now too.
So we actually.
I think we are, yes. I think we are live. So let's just see again, as always, of course, we got to give everybody a bit of time until the notifications are up and you guys are joining in. But having said that, Sylvia is back, of course. Hi, Lizzie.
I recognize Sylvia because Sylvia, are you the teacher? Can you let me know? Because she said she thinks you'd be a great teacher.
Oh, well, funny enough, Sylvia, I always wanted to be a teacher, actually.
And I didn't get around to telling her that, but I was like,
really?
David always wanted to be a teacher.
Yes.
Hi, Sylvia. Hi, everyone. Tracy.
Perfect. Very good. Hi, Jen.
Lizzie.
As always, let us know where you're tuning in from. It's always really, really cool to kind of hear all these cool places you guys are from. Maryland, Botswana, Norway. Awesome. Annie from China, Brenda. That's actually pretty cool. I don't think we get a lot of people from China tuning in.
No.
That's amazing. Ghana in the house. Amazing.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us.
We hope you guys are obviously having a great week, by the way. Hope everything is going well.
Happy hump day.
Happy hump. You have to say that, right? To just put me off completely.
You know, the funny thing is, when I started saying it, I thought it was a coincidence that, oh my God, I always say it. But then I recognized, well, we do the live on Wednesdays.
Yep.
And Wednesdays is
hump day.
Yes.
Awesome. So, we are just in Mannheim. Hi,
there are two people
Mannheim.
from Tanzania, Lisbeth
Awesome.
and Feliz.
Karibu.
From
Dubai. Awesome. Again, all over the world. That's amazing. Sudan.
Chiza Ofia from Madrid. So my Igbo sister in Spain. Shout out.
Bonjour au Strasbourg. No. Is that au Strasbourg? Or?
What's that?
No.
Bonjour.
Bonjour, yeah.
French.
I know. And
because
then
I just talked about Madrid.
Bonjour to Strasbourg. No, Numa is from Strasbourg. Anyway, we will address that later. But I wasn't too wrong, I believe.
Okay.
Anyway, again, maybe a minute or so, we'll give a few more people.
Hi, Abby. Abiola from Clondalkin.
Oh,
Abby
nice.
Regularly joins us, so shout out to you, Abby.
Guten Abend aus Berlin. Guten Abend, Lori. Guten Abend nach Berlin. I almost feel like a news broadcaster or something like Guten Abend aus Berlin. The 8 o'clock news.
I have to shout out to Miss Hu Ha. Even though you have to tell us what your real name is, because I always see your account and I'm like, Miss Who? Huh? From Heidelberg.
Yes, which is, by the way, a very beautiful city in Germany.
Nice.
Very beautiful city. Guys, before we get started, as always, we always have a couple of people who are joining in for the first time or are actually new to our channel in general. So for all of you, please make sure to subscribe to our channel. And also, we've realized and noticed over the last few weeks, it's really important that you turn on that notification bell, by the way. Because otherwise, although you subscribe to our channel, you might not actually get notifications when we actually upload a video. So again, please make sure you subscribe to the channel and also tick the little notification bell. That way you really do know when we post something. And also, of course...
don't forget to follow. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Adanna_David.
As always, exactly. And of course, for the lives, I'm also subscribed to Navigate, which is our Instagram handle for these live series. Perfect. A lot more from Germany joining in. That is amazing. Namibia, again, everybody's welcome. We're so happy that you guys all tuned in. So I would say, should we start?
Yeah.
So today, guys, we couldn't agree on one wine. You know, we always start with our little tradition of pouring us a glass of wine. I normally manage to convince Adanna, but today I think she was so excited with her white wine. So we had to go for one white and one red. Okay?
I just said I prefer white wine. Like,
yeah,
but there was no disagreement.
No, but it's one of those ways where it's like, well, I would prefer white. Where I was like, I know what that means.
Because you asked me.
Yeah, no, of course. So anyway, so we're going with a Pinot Grigio for Adanna. And again, hopefully you guys have your glasses ready, whether it's a tea or juice or water or champagne, who knows.
Ooh la la.
Well, Well, we have seen actually.
La, la.
I've seen a few comments under our post the other day, or actually today. Some of you guys are potentially sitting in front of the screen right now as a couple and watching this every Wednesday night as a couple, having a glass of wine. So again, we'll toast to all of you out there joining us, and especially all the couples.
Très exotique.
Très exotique. No. Mocking me for my French.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying it is.
Prost.
Prost. Every time we do this,
Yeah.
I always want to kiss you.
I know.
I forget that we're supposed to actually drink.
And we're supposed to look at each other.
Like,
Which is kind of awkward if you sit next to each other, but anyway. Alright, so cheers guys. Thanks for joining in. Prost.
alright then.
Let's start. Today,
the most dreaded topic. Guys, please comment below if you read the article from 2 days ago about Adele and the story of her breakup.
Yeah.
Adele was in the news recently, and then someone wrote this Vogue article. And in the article, they did mention about how she had to cycle across Greater London to pick her underwear from her ex-boyfriend's laundry bin while he was at a pub. So, in summary, we've all done very awkward things when we break up. Anyway, so we're here to talk about
the tough times.
Yeah.
Basically.
The not so pretty times.
Yeah, it is obviously something that everybody probably would have gone through at least once or twice in their life. And obviously, as we're trying to share with you, topics that come with navigating through relationships. We also, of course, had to talk about, although it took us a few weeks to get to that, but we had to talk about breakups. So today, really, you were like, where's he going with that? So anyway, we're going to share with you a little bit of our experiences with going through breakups, and I guess how we cope with that. But as always, again, very much keen to hear from you guys as well. Maybe some of you are currently, unfortunately, going through a breakup or have recently gone through a breakup. So again, very keen if you guys have any questions or thoughts or so, please do feel free to share your comments or share your questions in the chat, and we will try and get to them throughout, basically. And as always, at the end as well.
Yeah.
All right.
Because it'll be very interesting to know how some of you have dealt with breakups.
Yeah. Because also there's obviously never a perfect way. Everybody is different.
Yeah.
So, there's never the perfect advice. You kind of have to pick and choose a little bit from different people you hear and then see what works for you, because everybody reacts to these things differently. That's, I think, very important. Already the kind of first point.
I would say there might be like a framework to help you navigate after it. The situation that leads to the breakup and how you react to it, of course, that you can't learn from anyone.
Yeah.
You can't, you can't really learn from anyone, but you can learn how to navigate your way. Some techniques to help you cope when it happens. Anyway, what is your experience with breakups? And the funny thing is, guys, we usually, this might be the first time we've ever really talked about this. Except, of course, in uni when we kind of knew who we were dating. Yeah. When we then broke up. True. But in the past, David and I, because David, fun fact is,
oh God.
David,
are we starting with fun facts?
Yeah, we're starting with fun facts. Fun fact is, David literally does not want to hear anything about any exes. Yeah. Doesn't even want to know the person's name. So right now, David literally doesn't even know how many people I've dated or how many breakups I've had, because he doesn't want to know. Doesn't matter. Whereas on the other hand, I'm like, do tell.
No. By the minutes. Give me the minutes protocol.
Tell me. So how many people did you date? Okay, so from what year to what? So what month did you break up? So then, how long did you wait until you dated the next person? So then, tell me, what was that? Where was she from? I want to know everything. I'm just like that. I want to know everything. Yeah. David doesn't.
I can't be bothered.
So this might be very interesting, seeing as we never get to talk about exes and breakups. Yeah. This is very interesting to hear how you.
Well, it would be interesting for me to hear from you, actually.
Well, yeah, but also, true.
True. All right. Well, I mean, so where to start? I mean, somebody was actually saying our breakups with an S, meaning how many or so. I mean, it depends a little bit on what you obviously consider and at what age do you consider a serious breakup or part of kind of this early, let's say, relationships, kind of romances or something. But look, I would say I would probably say I had like 2 or 3, probably 3 more serious breakups. I would say, right?
Oh, okay.
A little bit more. Again, nothing. I was never, of course, on the very serious level yet. Where even there was no point in any of my previous relationship where I ever, for example, talked about engagement or anything like this, right?
Oh, really?
So I had never gotten to that level at all. But at that time, they felt quite serious, right? For the stage I was in.
Stage they were in.
But yeah, so I would say 3 kind of from probably the very first relationship that I considered. Oh, the very first one was 16. That was kind of this typical first love, whatever, first time going through it. That was very heartbreaking because she moved away. So it wasn't even because of
from Germany?
No, that was in Brazil, actually.
Ooh.
Yeah.
She moved, was she Brazilian?
Yeah.
Okay, she moved from Brazil to where?
Within Brazil, but Brazil is massive.
Oh, well, I know.
Yeah, exactly.
I just thought she moved countries.
No. So yeah, so that was heartbreaking also because it wasn't really because of any issues, right? It was just distance. Yeah, and then probably 2 more only because I never had really long relationships. Number 1, as you know.
As I know.
Well, nothing really. This? Well, we have said like your relationships generally were much longer.
Yeah. I've generally had long relationships.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I had few, and even the ones that I had were generally short. So I guess you can argue they never had the time and chance to develop into something more serious, right?
Okay.
But look, if I think back and kind of so how did I maybe react or how did I take them? For me, it really what matters to me or mattered to me at the time is you need to know obviously what generally works for you in good and in bad, right? Everybody has an affinity for something else that again is kind of they can relate to, that really means something a lot. So in my case, that was music, right? That's one thing that.
Are we already talking about the healing process rather than the break? Have you done?
There's nothing more really.
No, the whole point about talking about the breakups, I suppose, is to share how you felt.
Okay.
First of all.
Yeah.
Before how you dealt with it, because at the end of the day,
to skip that.
for anybody who's watching, who God forbid is currently going through it, it's important for people to know that maybe what they're feeling at this point is valid.
Yeah.
It's normal.
True. Okay, that's a fair point. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So in both of the other, as I said, the first one was just unfortunate. It was again a matter of moving very, very far apart, and it couldn't have worked because of that. So that one is, I think, hard to kind of share anything because it wasn't really about any kind of love issues or anything like this, right? It was just distance, as I said.
Yeah, okay.
But the other 2, in both cases, actually, I was the one who broke up. I don't know if that makes it easier or worse.
Okay.
And in both cases, I think actually in both cases, thinking back at it now, I dragged on the relationship a little bit longer because I never had I didn't know how to say it. It was already something that I probably felt a bit earlier, right? But due to different reasons, I never felt kind of the courage, I guess you could say, because it takes a bit of guts, at least for me. It wasn't an easy thing, for me to kind of share this. Also knowing, and again, this is a bit of a kind of vicious cycle, that I think the other side would react quite emotional, knowing that, it was quite a meaningful relation for the other side.
Yeah. I think, so that really,
Yeah.
That borders on, so it's similar to what, I suppose not similar, in contrast to what we talked about with all the points we made about, cheating, right?
Yes.
The fact is, for breakups as well, breakups can happen even without cheating.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
a lot
100%.
of breakups. I think it's even I think it saves you in the long run to realize either you're no longer compatible, you don't share the same values, the same things don't excite you anymore. And I know that there's a lot of people, like you said, that might drag on a relationship. And unfortunately, in most cases, you might drag it onto something as serious as marriage.
Yeah, true.
Without even realizing, this is not the person I'm supposed to be with.
Right.
Especially as a woman, when you're really bogged down with societal expectations of what age you're supposed to do what, and then you end up dragging a relationship that you're not supposed to be in. So that can lead to a breakup without cheating.
And you can also argue that if you then don't act on already, let's say, existing doubts in a relationship, that could ultimately be one of the reasons that could lead to cheating as well. If people are for a long period of time unhappy, but for different reasons just don't have, don't make that decision, like, what, why are we dragging this on? If, you know what I mean, like, if it isn't working really, and that then ultimately, like, could then lead to maybe somebody cheating. But I would say breaking up is hopefully in most cases not even related to cheating. That's a really separate topic in my view, right? Yeah, absolutely. Okay. No, but I as I said, as the way I felt was what was the hardest for me was to think about the pain that probably the other side would be going through. And I know that could sound a little arrogant, I think, but I generally mean this from a very kind of, caring point of view, not from a like, but yeah, and then I generally, certainly at the time, maybe I've grown a little bit since then, but I didn't have the guts at the time to make that step, right? Out of a little bit pity or kind of concern for the feelings of the other side.
Okay. Yeah. So, but how do you cope? But it hurt you nonetheless.
Completely.
Right? Okay.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Because it's one thing to think about this, let's say, for yourself and kind of feel, I'm just not happy. But obviously, then sharing it and seeing the reaction and that can be quite heartbreaking. Absolutely, yeah. Okay. Yeah, and of course you have a period of doubt again afterwards, right? Okay, was it really the right decision and everything? So yeah.
So have you done any crazy? Like, what's the craziest thing you've done since breaking up? Like,
what do you mean? Since
obviously, like in reference to the fact that we talked about that Vogue article about a girl cycling to an ex-boyfriend to like go through his laundry basket. Like, what's the craziest thing?
I think to be fair, because on these other two instances, it was me who broke up. Like obviously I wouldn't be the one doing something crazy, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Like
I guess.
There was one instance, and I'm obviously not going to share details out of respect for that person, but there was one of the other two where the other person then, pulled a few crazy stunts, let's say.
I don't even think I want to know.
Let's just keep it at that. Sort of trying to prove a point, or maybe even secretly trying to get me back. I don't know exactly, but yeah, there was one of the two that was a little like, I was like, oh, that's awkward, or like, ooh.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
what about yourself? In terms of the actual breakup, since we're not yet talking about the healing process.
Yeah. So, my breakups have gone slightly differently.
Right. Fair enough.
Right.
Yeah.
Like David said, I would normally be the one in longer term relationships. So suppose the shortest time I've been in a relationship has been a year. And I think for me it was just this, it's not something I intentionally told myself you must date someone for a year, but I feel like up until a year I can kind of see, is this the right person, or what are the things I've picked up on and I've addressed, and this is the timeline, have they changed or not? So I think usually my year point, so if I would say like in my adult years of dating, there's only about 3 breakups I can remember. Okay. And in the 3 breakups is literally getting to the 1 year mark, and I'm just like,
it's not really,
this person isn't really changing for things that I brought up, or there's expectations that I cannot match, or there is like, like sexism or something that I'm just like, no, this doesn't match my values. Okay. And so I've then in those cases been the one to break up, to say okay. But in a very
was it difficult for you? Or like, did you make the decision quickly? Or
so let me tell you. So the very first one, I suppose, my first real attempt at like a long-term relationship, and then my first real experience with a breakup. Yeah. So I had gone over, and then I was like, let's talk, and then I literally like had an adult and mature conversation, like, oh, you're not. These are the things that we talked about, like you're not changing, and I don't think we're compatible. All that stuff, right? So I went there with the mindset of, after tonight, this relationship is over, because we would have talked about it and we would have mutually agreed to part ways.
That's how you envisioned that.
That was my vision. But I went there. It didn't turn out that way, because obviously, like you talked about the reaction of the other person. So the reaction was quite emotional and very convincing.
Okay.
That now is the time I will change.
Right.
So then I thought, I mean, at the end of the day, it's not like I didn't care for the person.
Yeah.
Or it's not like I was seeing somebody else. So I agreed. I accepted that,
they got you.
Oh my God, this is the most convincing you've sounded since I've been addressing these issues. So yes, I will. Okay, forget what I said.
Yeah.
Let's try again.
Okay. Oh God.
I kid you not. The next day, he broke up with me. So I think it was the ego of how dare she dump me.
Right. So give me one more day so I can.
Yeah, he gave me. So he said, "Give me one more day." I fell for it. The next day, he was like, "You know what? You brought up here. Yeah, I don't want to." I was like,
wow.
What just happened?
He played you.
He literally played me.
Wow, I never heard of that.
He literally played me. I was like, "Oh my God,
wow." Good that I didn't know that story before and don't know who that is.
Yeah, no, you don't know.
That's why it's good that I don't want to know these things.
No, this is in Nigeria. You don't even know.
But
yeah.
Jesus, wow.
I was like,
how dare.
I swear to God. So my reaction to that was, for almost like a week, I kept replaying that in my head. Like, did this just like?
Is something I missed here? Like, this is not how this works.
Like, I broke up with you first. Like, WTF.
Competition, who breaks up, so that at least he can claim I was always the one to break.
It was nothing other than a male ego.
Well done, mate.
It was nothing. Well done, mate. It was nothing other than a male ego.
Wow.
So that was the first real breakup that I can remember. Okay. And then after that, I kind of just started putting my guards up.
Yeah.
You know, like, you know that, like, oh my God, my guards were like
I remember
10 feet tall.
Yeah.
So the other breakup then was when I just noticed that it's not going well.
You were quick to act.
I was just quick to be like, okay, you know what? I think we should take a break. And I think for me, it was just the fear of, you know, being dumped.
Dumped again,
Yeah, it was just that fear. And actually, now that I'm saying it out loud, it makes sense that that's what...
Right.
That experience is what I took on. And literally, that was the last time somebody ever broke up with me.
Ouch.
No, literally, I kid you not. It's so funny that the experiences you have influence you.
That was free therapy here for you.
Yeah. That was the last time someone ever broke up with me, because when I then went into my other long-term relationship and then I noticed some sort of weirdness, I'm just like, okay, maybe we should just take a break. And for me, that break was like, I am running
taking
for
a break
the
doesn't
hills.
really exist. Yeah.
And then the last real relationship that I can remember was actually just a change of scenery, like from uni to like going to med school, and the distance really helped me cope. With the breakup. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. You see, good, interesting first story. I love it.
Oh my God, I can't believe I buried that story for such a long time.
It's hilarious.
But now it's just coming back vividly in my mind how emotional he was, convincing. I was like, okay, just forget that I said anything. Let's go back to where we were. And then the next one is like, you know what you brought up yesterday? Yeah.
I agree.
We're breaking up.
But you obviously then didn't try to play the same card.
No, please. I was like, good riddance to bad rubbish.
Love that. Hashtag.
Okay. Anyway, so that's the breakup story.
Yes.
In terms of actually then dealing or coping.
Yes.
I
mean, again, I think everybody's very different in that regard.
It's not out of place to act weird. Just putting it out there. It's not out of place. Because let me tell you, although, okay, I'll talk about my last relationship. Well, one of the relationships that I broke up. Although I would have been the one running for the hills, right? It wasn't as easy as, just go back home and forget like everything ever happened. Like, dude, I'm investing like 1.5 years to like 2 years in this. So there was a bit of stalking. I mean, there was a bit of stalking.
It's okay to admit that now. Well, I have a few things as well. I can maybe,
there's a bit of stalking, like the, checking up. Okay, what's this person up to? I mean, you just feel like you need to just check up. And I mean, in that time,
some people feel.
Well, I was one of those people.
Yeah.
It was just like, there's a bit of, stalking.
Okay.
Then there's a bit of, I don't know, it's just in waves of being very sad, being emotional, making unhealthy decisions when it comes to maybe what you eat or how often you go out, just because you feel like you need to compensate.
It's a coping mechanism.
Or you feel like you need to show that you're not in a bad place yourself. So like you're excessively going out, like, trying to look the littest ever.
I mean,
there's all this game playing that it happens. Yeah. Right?
It's fine. Absolutely. Not gonna... In my case, actually, it wasn't so much maybe stalking or so, especially that first relationship, again, was a breakup just because of distance and was kind of my first love. I was 16, so again, everything can be forgiven, hopefully. But I acted out very much kind of, I mean, I'm fairly romantic, I would like to think.
You are very romantic.
And, as when you're first time in love and everything, I was like out of the world, cheesy romantic.
Oh my
probably.
God, I have the first handwritten letter David wrote me and burnt the edges. I still have that letter, by the way. Maybe when we talk about one of our weddings, I'm going to show them. And the poem you wrote for me that you framed.
Yeah. That actually was really good. I was really proud of that one.
Anyway, not to interrupt, really you are very romantic.
No, yes, thank you. So anyway, you can imagine only that kind of heart and mind and soul at 16, for the very first time being heartbroken. Do you understand? The kind of emotions that put out. And I mean, the number of songs.
I'm so sorry for you. I'm sorry.
The number of songs and letters and stuff I wrote at the time, and like completely lost it in like certain songs. There's still songs today that I remember. I was like, literally like movie-like scenes. Okay, obviously they weren't as cute at the time. Sitting at this desk in my little room there, completely bawling to this song, singing it like while crying. Sorry guys, but that's the truth. While crying, trying to sing the lyrics of the, like, when you come to me, when you want me, literally like that, and then
you did it actually,
and then writing as well. So like random absolute rubbish. But no, the songs were absolute rubbish. But genuinely feeling they were the shit. Sorry, excuse me. And like, putting them together and like, I mean, it was absolutely a mess. Okay, naming like, I remember that was really embarrassing. It's only after another double that time now in my life that I'm able to appreciate it. But like literally finding there were stuffed animals in the room, and kind of naming some of them then after the person to pretend to look at like, why can't you be with me?
No. Oh, Jesus Christ, David, I'm so glad I didn't know this before I met you.
Oh, you would have loved it, please.
No.
Please. You would have put up like a very cold, like, ridiculous. And then inside you would be like, oh, he's so cute.
Oh my God, David, I cannot. I'm so glad you didn't tell me this story before we met.
I didn't expect this today to go that far, but hey.
Oh my God. By the way, do you remember Never Have I Ever and David admitted to kissing his pillow?
Oh, yeah.
Like, well, mate, you've done some really weird stuff.
That sounds weird. When you practice kissing, right?
Okay, sorry.
You have a bit of context. The question was, have you ever practiced kissing with your pillow or something? And I said, yes, I have done that.
Like, who does that?
Please, guys, come on, that's not so weird. I'm actually very convinced people have done this before. Come on.
Oh my God.
Come on, guys, please, help me out. Has anybody practiced kissing by using a pillow or something similar? Come on. You can't tell me you didn't.
David,
no, please. No, please. Nobody.
Okay. Oh, that wasn't even a live, right? Let's see what people are saying.
Okay, everybody so far is just laughing at me. Okay, fine. I did.
Adanna,
Stimme David too. Hey, so far everybody is agreeing.
9.
Where?
Yes,
okay.
I have. Okay. Only 1.
I have, 2 no's.
No.
2 no's.
Please also say no. Let's see the amount of no's to yes. No.
That's normal.
No one. Someone was literally, Manuel was like, no, David.
No, but we used hands. Look, at least they use, you can.
Yeah, but not.
What? Oh, come on, now it's the pillow.
Okay, anyway.
No, it's not the pillow that is weird.
Good thing that you didn't break up with your pillow. Let's move on to
Justin said I also practice kissing my pillow. Thank you.
Oh, Jesus
It's very normal, guys. Don't feel bad about it. Most people have done it. Anyway, I think we should move on.
Anyway, let's move on. Thank God he didn't date and break up with a pillow.
Coping.
Or the stuffed animal.
Okay, yeah, that would. I know, right? So I was like, I'll never let you go again. I'll never date again. Yeah, like literally all that kind of young romantic and love.
Oh my god, I never broke up with anyone thinking I'll never date again. Honey, I was like,
no, in the worst
I'll
period,
get
I
another
said that.
you in a minute. Matter of fact, he'll be here in a minute. To the left.
Yeah, I was the opposite. Anyway, we found each other eventually. So, coping mechanism. Okay. So, as I was prematurely already talking about it earlier, so what I was saying that at the end of the day, I think the best coping mechanism is always subjective, because everybody, of course, copes with things differently. Now, for me, when I think about it, generally there's something you have a sort of affinity to, or you generally respond to very well. So, for example, I mean things like music or sports, or and they go both ways, in good and in bad times. So for me, something like this is music. When I'm extremely happy, I love listening to good music, right? And equally, kind of music and certain songs, as I just explained, and obviously a bit more on the funny side, but even on a serious note, even music is the one thing that helped me through a lot of emotions, including difficult kind of romantic and relationship situations, right? One other thing, one example, I remember this absolutely vividly. One of my proudest moments anyway, was when back in Germany I thought I was going to music school. At some point I wanted to become a music teacher, and I had entry exam. I had to do singing, theory tests, and practical tests, of course. And I remember I was so nervous. I traveled quite far for this university. And there's this particular song, or it's a compilation of songs, that I then listened to, and I felt like the absolute god. Like I was practicing, in my mind. I had my headphones on, and there was something that it did to me in that moment. I felt so confident.
Yeah.
And when you get to a point you lose your nerves just before you enter like somewhere, or when you go for a big interview or something. And it was one of those.
Like my keynote in Luxembourg.
Right, it was like that.
I was listening to The Greatest
Showman. Yeah.
I felt like I was elevated on like 9 clouds. So music does help.
And you have to find that kind of thing. What does that to you? Because that can help you cope also in very bad moments or very difficult periods. Yeah.
So for me, I'm just gonna give a bit of context, like a bit of intro to breakup, right? So we've actually made it clear that a breakup doesn't always happen because someone cheated.
Yeah.
I think sometimes it's better for you to analyze whether that relationship is supposed to go on or not. So whether you're the one doing the breakup or whether someone broke up with you, it hurts either way. But if I was to say, okay, which one hurts more? I mean, we can agree that it hurts more when someone breaks up with you. However, in the time that you are grieving, sad, and trying to overreact, filled with emotions, the first tip that I would give is to take some time and just reflect for a second. Was this relationship even going well? Was it going well? And I also feel like, honestly, if somebody comes to break up with you, that's already an indication that maybe that's not a relationship for you. Because it's different when you have a fight in a relation. I mean, both of us being together, we have fights, we have arguments, but never would I think, well, because of this fight, I'm dumping him or I'm breaking up with him. No. So it's arguments, it's fights, it's normal, and you make up, you get upset for a few hours, whatever the case may be, you know that you make up. But if somebody, whether you're the person that brings it up or somebody decides to break up with you, the first thing to think is, well, if this person wants to end the relationship,
then something is already
off.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I wouldn't even go as far as advising you to say, well, let me fight for this relationship. Before you even go into that mindset, you need to ask yourself, was this relationship even worth it? Was I supposed to be in it? And is this person the right person for me if they really want to just end things or give up so quickly?
Right. Yeah.
So that's the first thing. That's
good. Yeah.
And then the second thing is when you come to the realization that, well, the relationship has ended for whatever reason, it wasn't meant to be. I feel like there is the danger of falling into the trap of reminiscing on the amount of time you've committed to that relationship. So it could be in years where people are thinking, oh my God, like I've spent 3 years, I've spent 4 years. So the thought of the amount of time you've invested in a relationship might make you start fighting for something that shouldn't even be to begin with, or might make you hold on to something that was, and then prevents you,
of course,
from going into something that should be.
Yeah.
Right? So the one sure way to get over that, for me personally, like I said, was distance. Distance was the one thing that helped me get over one of my serious relationships. Yes, I was lucky that I physically moved countries. Okay, I know that was lucky for me, because God knows I would have probably been dragged for a few weeks or a few months longer in that sort of, unhealthy situation. But distance, so whether that's you moving out, let's just say maybe you guys live together, or whether that's you intentionally distancing yourself. Because you can break up, you realize the relationship is not for you, and all of a sudden they're inviting you for coffee. Let's just hang out. Let's be friends.
This is how it starts again.
I'm sorry, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
That doesn't work when the wound is still fresh.
Yeah.
When your scar is healed, you can meet for coffee and be like, okay, yeah, this is the scar. But when that wound is still fresh, I'm sorry, there's no such thing as let us amicably meet. Let's just meet platonically. No, that doesn't work. No. Sorry. Another thing is to get rid of all of the memorabilia. Like, I literally went on a picture cutting spree. I'm not even kidding.
Actually, I can see that completely.
First, deleted all the pictures on Facebook at the time. I don't even think Instagram existed. But I physically took a scissor and like chopped up everything that reminded me of this person. Not just the pictures, but I remember even chopping off a scarf. Like, I saw that scarf, I was like, I'm going. Chopping you up.
Ouch. Should have sold it at least, No,
that scarf needed to die.
All right. Well.
Oh my God.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's of course, that makes a lot of sense, especially with the distancing, I think, and getting rid of stuff as well. I think another few thoughts of mine, kind of while you're talking now, I also actually believe, especially, of course, more so probably if you're the one who was dumped, I believe it is actually for the sort of the grieving process quite important to also make sure you really identify and express your emotions, right? Because sometimes people try, I think, too fast to get over things, right? Now, I don't mean, of course, to kind of, keep crying for weeks or like never get out of it. But I think, especially if it was quite serious, maybe a longer period, or was a very painful and difficult breakup, I think it is part of the process. It's very important, because otherwise there's a risk that you'll always fall back on it, or you'll realize years later, I've actually never really recovered from it, and you will hold maybe future partners accountable, or you behave differently to them because of pain you've never really overcome from the past. So I think it is actually quite important for you to really be able to have a fresh start, and give in the future, in God knows how many months or years, who knows, somebody else a real chance. You need to get over whatever was happening, right? So think trying to sit down, whether it's writing down, talking about it, or whatever it is, but you have to go through and really identify what exactly happened. How do I feel about all this? What are the emotions I'm feeling here? What I'm afraid about. That, I think, is very important. I love your thing about the kind of rearranging maybe a living situation, meaning get rid of stuff maybe in the house that reminds you of the person.
100%. Because I had little pictures hanging in cute corners, even though we had broken up. Yeah. And at some point I was like, oh my God, I'm literally like, this is the first thing I see when I walk in.
This is what that's very
like
important.
Everywhere. I'm sorry, you need to go. You need to go.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think the other thing that is maybe a little bit easier said than done is the idea around kind of self-care and really focusing on yourself, right? But practically speaking, really, yes, of course, it means kind of whatever you really care about, whatever makes you feel good. This could be as simple as spa stuff or exercising, but like that is actually important. But also, I think finding yourself from a point of purpose, let's say, right? Okay, so this is now out of my life. This is I saw my life, of course, as being in a relation with X, okay, and maybe I already saw myself getting married to this person, who knows. So how now, with this situation I'm faced now, what's the vision of my life now?
Yeah.
Create a new vision of your life going forward. Find a new purpose, basically, because probably your purpose before in that relation was different, was tied to that person, tied to the relationship you're in. Now the relationship isn't anymore, right? So try and identify, okay, what are my goals in life now? What is my purpose in life now? It is a process. It's not one thing you sit down for an hour and it's done. But at least if you consciously try and do that, I think it would help you.
Yeah. And a temptation to look out for is quickly jumping into the next relationship. And you might realize along the line that you really weren't even ready for this new relationship. It was more like a comeback, or let me prove to this person that I'm a hot cake. Let me prove to this person I'm hot stuff, that I've moved on. So you might not even realize that a lot of the actions that you're doing is still very much
coping,
tied to this person.
Right. Yes.
As a coping mechanism, but not even a coping mechanism, as a revenge mechanism.
Right, yes.
But then that person still very much has a stronghold on you, because you're jumping into the next relationship. You don't even love that person. Okay. So just make sure that everything that you do from the moment you've ended the relationship isn't tied or somehow subconsciously controlled by your ex. It's okay to be single for a few months after. It's okay to be single for a few years after, as long as, like David said, you're almost like creating a new vision for your life. And understanding, like, what, success is the biggest comeback, honey. Honest to God, success is the biggest comeback. Imagine if you decide to take a course, you decide to get another diploma, you decide to increase your paycheck, like all these things that are not linked to intimacy with somebody else or some sort of revenge. I mean, I think that's the biggest.
I love it.
That's the biggest middle finger, basically.
Love that, absolutely. Anyway. All right, I think so. This is, already quite a bit from our end in terms of what we have gone through, our view, and I guess lessons a little bit from it. We did promise, and as we always do, that we want to obviously go through a couple of your points as well. So again, guys, if you have any questions, we might not have seen them before, so please do feel free to put them down there now. If you have questions or comments about the topic today, we're happy, and we have obviously some time left now to go through them as well. What I do want to say...
Colin Sanchez, let the church say amen. Yes, sister.
What I do want to say, though, before, I do want to give a big shout out to Abiola again. Abiola, you have been with us now for a while, and thank you again very much for your contribution. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you.
It means a lot to us. We do see you, so I just want to say this. But... having said that, we'll now go through some of your questions and see what you guys...
So ghosting.
Yes.
Go on then.
Very curious, what are your opinions on ghosting? I've never understood it, and I think two people should be mature about it and just have a normal conversation instead of one going silent.
Yeah, I think ghosting is the most immature, cowardly thing to do. Honestly, there's literally no other way to say it. And, two things. The person who's ghosting might be an absolute knob and really just wants to hurt you, or like David said, might feel so emotional or feel bad at your anticipated emotional reaction after a difficult conversation that they would decide, I would much rather not talk. But either way, I think it's a very cowardly thing to do. You're right. Two people should talk, no matter how difficult it is. Especially like if you've been in a relationship for, even if it's for a month or 2 months. Like if you've decided to be in a relationship with that person, I think the least the least you owe each other is a conversation.
And even to your earlier point, if somebody does that to you, you really have to ask yourself, okay, probably that person deep down never had the level of maturity that you probably are looking for anyway, right?
Exactly.
So if somebody ends up doing that to you, then I think there's already a bit of then it might not have been the right one anyway.
And someone said, okay, this is a comment. Best way to get over is to hop on another. I beg to disagree with that. If you want to hop on another, that's fine, but I don't think that I don't think that fits the framework of healing or getting over someone.
It's a very short-term kind of, healing the symptoms, but not really the root cause of the pain, right? You might be able to cover a few of your symptoms for that day, weeks, or whatever, but it probably wouldn't really help you in the long run.
Yeah. Okay, someone said, how to cope with a breakup when there's a child involved.
Ooh.
Well, and we're parents, so anything that involves children really gets us very emotional.
Yeah.
So, off the bat, of course, we can't deny that it's gonna be an even tougher situation to go through.
Of course.
What are your thoughts?
I mean, obviously we can't really speak of experience. The only thing I can think of course, is to say that I understand there's this risk or danger for two adults who still have their lives to live to sometimes constantly think about, but there's a child involved, so let's just stay together for the sake of it, right? I do believe, while of course when there's a child involved you have to think about something like this way more, I think, in depth and more seriously, right? Because it's not just anymore about the two of you. But at the end of the day, I don't think you even do the child a real favor in the long run if the couple, if you two as if the couple just stays together for the sake of portraying a kind of rosy picture. The child will grow up, will get older, and will eventually know what's going on.
Yeah.
You have to be realistic. At the time, the child might be young, but if you try and force it just for the sake of the child, I don't think you're doing anybody any favor. Right? So it's probably better in that case, this is really just speaking, obviously not from experience, just thinking about it, out loud, is better probably to find a kind of, let's say, the best way to then take care of the child, the most amicable way of having joint sort of, responsibility and really being there, but trying to find a good way of co-parenting really for the child. You're probably better off, in as much as in the short term, in that moment, probably it's difficult for the child.
Yeah.
Depending on the age. It is probably a very difficult period to understand mommy and daddy are not together anymore. But I strongly believe in the long run, because if you guys are then happier.
You strongly believe in the long run that what should happen?
Sorry?
You strongly believe in the long run that.
Well, it will be better for even the child if they, for example, see that, mommy and daddy are happy, but generally separate. Happy, even if separate, but that then also allows you, I think, to take care of your child better, right? Yeah. That's just my only thought, but it's a difficult one. It's so difficult to give advice if you're not in that situation.
Yeah.
I find it very difficult.
Yeah.
Sorry. Right. What else? Okay, you guys are absolutely on fire here. Well, there was one. There's a few of them here. How do you deal with a breakup when you guys have been intimate? I feel like moving on from a really intimate relationship is a bit harder. Rochelle asked that. Obviously, I agree, right? Of course, it is harder, needless to say, versus maybe a relationship you hadn't been so intimate.
Yeah.
My only point, and you might have something else to say or different views, which is good.
Let's hear it.
Is that I can understand, of course, that the level of intimacy can be quite an emotional factor, right, when a breakup happens. But on the other hand, I would also say one thing that I've certainly learned, I believe we have learned, and over time you will learn, is for a real long-term relationship, and we're talking here kind of marriage, the kind of like till death do us part type of thing, it is so much more than intimacy.
Yes.
So much more. I know in the beginning, in the earlier years, that it's a really big piece because you have a relationship and then you ultimately move into intimacy, but the relationship, let's say, curve in evolution goes differently again, where intimacy is a big part of it, of course, but you realize it is by far not the most important part. You see? So that's the only thing I can say is like, well, fair enough, intimacy was involved, but really most of the other things, how compatible you are as individuals, have you shared visions in life, do you follow the same values, actually are more important.
Yeah.
And if they don't match in intimacy, if they don't match, regardless of how intimate you've become, it is still a deciding factor to say, no, sorry, we can't move forward.
Yeah.
I don't know if you...
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Because we talk about it like the different stages of love.
Yeah.
You know, goes beyond intimacy. So I think what she's saying, of course, it is difficult.
Yeah,
either ways. It is difficult either way. But I don't think that because you've been intimate with someone, then you should be with them. So I'll give you the typical scenario. Could be a situation where you have a very maybe as a woman, you are very religious, you made a pact with yourself that you would never lose your virginity to somebody who you would not marry. And then somebody looked like the potential up until the point of losing your virginity, then something happened. Then you realize, oh my God, he's emotionally abusive, or he doesn't support me, he doesn't share my values, or certain expectations I can't match. I will never say to you, well, you made this pact to only lose your virginity to the man you're going to marry, so stay with him. I would never advise anybody to do that. So the fact is, every breakup, potentially every breakup anyway, is difficult. It's emotional. But if you distance yourself, take care of yourself, try to channel that energy into self or personal development, I think it'll be a lot easier to get over the person after a while.
Yeah.
After a while, the wound will heal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Simple as.
By the way, it's very interesting. Ruth just answered actually our previous topic around breaking up when there are kids. Sorry, previous question. When the kids are involved. Really interesting, by the way, Ruth, that you shared.
Thank you for sharing.
Thanks for sharing actually your story. That's really interesting.
Yeah, Ruth said, I finally left after the kids were all grown, and they all tell me they knew I wasn't happy and should have left years earlier.
Yeah, very similar to what we said.
Guess if I had to do it, I'd do it differently. Ruth, thank you so much for sharing that. And that, like you said, that really proved what we were saying, because the kids are gonna find out anyway that you're unhappy. And then you prevent yourself even finding happiness if you're stuck in a situation where you're unhappy.
Yeah, absolutely. One other one, maybe one or two last ones. Vivian is asking, sorry, which one was that? Joy. Can we keep our ex-boyfriends as friends, or is it better we block them? No, I'll leave you to answer that.
No, why would you leave me to
Because I know your answer.
Why would you leave Please.
And she asked for boyfriends, so I don't know how.
Wait, listen. Wait, what do you think my answer is going to be?
No, first answer.
No. I'm genuinely curious. What do you think?
Of course you're going to block them.
Of course you block them.
Jesus.
Like if you could block them 5 times, block them.
Please, there's no such thing as friends after.
No. I'm sorry. In the beginning, they have to be blocked.
Get ready for that.
No.
Get ready.
I don't want to go into this.
No, you're very passionate about this. Go for it. Get ready.
No. Yeah, so I'm just going to be calm.
Wow.
The few things that trigger me.
Go for it.
But I would not keep your ex as a friend in the beginning. And trust me, I'm speaking from experience, where I've tried to keep an ex as a friend. That didn't work. Sorry, the lines get really blurred. Next thing, you're friends with benefits. Next thing, you're this and you're that. And your life just keeps going around in a circle where you're no longer together. But you're now at a phase where you're like, maybe hooking up, because you're telling yourself, well, you know what? At the end of the day, it's not like, oh, we've not done it before. So you're constantly hooking up with somebody when you should actually be moving on and re-strategizing your life. No.
Yeah.
No.
Oh,
block them.
Very short answer. Wow. Well done for restraining yourself.
Block them.
Okay.
Do you know what? No. Especially in the beginning, because I feel like genuinely when you've you will know when you've moved on. You will know when you're in a healthy place. Literally, you're in a healthy place when that person's name comes up. Because you might have the same circle of friends and you still, somebody then drops their name. Oh, do you know this person is now dating, or do you know this person is married? When that news no longer phases you, when that news is like literally pouring water on a stone, that's when you know you've moved on. And until then you can unblock them. But before then,
very true.
No, I'm sorry. You can't be seeing all of their posts and their lives, because then you fall into this competition of let's see who's gonna impress each other more, and let's see who would have moved on with their lives first. Sorry, I was gonna leave this answer very short.
You almost made it.
I almost left it very short.
Right. Guys, we probably have to come to the end slowly.
Oh my God.
But if you guys, it is as always. All right, guys. So if you guys enjoyed the video as always, do please make sure to subscribe to the channel, of course. And as I mentioned in the beginning, also make sure to click on the notification bell, because otherwise you won't get notified if we upload a video. But thank you so much for tuning in again. This was actually a lot of fun. And as you probably noticed, we even learned a thing or two about ourselves.
Yeah.
As always. And it was a bit of therapy as well. So thanks.
That's stupid ex-boyfriend.
Yes, I know. No, but thanks so much. We wish you a great week, of course.
Yeah.
Also, make sure to subscribe to our Instagram page, of course, if you haven't done so already.
People don't subscribe to Instagram pages.
No, follow.
Yes.
Okay. So please follow our Instagram pages.
Yeah.
Is that the better way?
Yeah, that's the better way. You sound like you live in the Middle Ages. Anyway, we love you guys. Thank you, and we'll see you next Wednesday.
Exactly, for another live.
Bye.
Take care, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.